welcome, people to No Filter Football Cage. How you guys doing? Thank you for joining us for this sad Monday evening. We have a special guest for you today. Miz, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Really excited to be here with the boys. He looks like you're a bit of a squad happening here, man. I'm really excited to be part of this channel with you guys. I'm seeing you guys are doing a bit of madness lately as well. You guys are growing nicely as well, and a lot of the fans are enjoying the content that you guys are delivering. So kudos to you guys, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, we just reached 1K not long ago as well. Like I think at the beginning of this month.
Nice.
So it's growing good. It's growing good. But Marshall, how you doing? You good?
I'm doing better than yesterday. It's one of those 50-50 days where like you're happy, but at the same time you feel some like lingering resentment in your heart. You're just like like you need to go hit the punching bag a little bit. But other than that, man, we're okay.
Yeah, man. Join the gym, man. That's where I let all my frustrations go.
I gotta. It's on the to-do list. Eventually, as I would say.
Yeah. Andrew, how are you doing, man? You good?
Yeah, man, I'm good. Slightly. It's gone down my anger level yesterday. Not anger level, actually. I don't think it was anger. I'm sort of deflated.
Yeah.
I'm sort of pumped up a bit more, but I'm slightly still deflated. But you know, it'll go more as the week goes on as we build up, get closer to the Champions League finals. So you know.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, how about you, my man? You good?
I'm good. I'm over the disappointment of yesterday. I'm looking forward to the final, and I'm looking forward to us getting a proper striker. So, happy days will be ahead of us.
Very much so.
I hope. But you know what really scares me though, because every time that we sign a proper striker, they don't turn out to be proper.
Goddamn curse, man.
No. But when you think about it, right? Like from other strikers we signed, like how many of them worked out?
3.
Was it? Wasn't it? And
Didier Drogba, and it took 3 seasons.
Costa,
Nicholas Anelka, and it took.
But has Anelka really worked out that well?
He did work out.
He got top scorer
as a second striker. I'd say it worked out.
You've got to remember Nicholas Anelka. I will always say this, and I give him credit. He sacrificed his game big style for Didier Drogba.
Yeah,
he played off him. And remember, first proper season he finished our top scorer. So and the way AVB or whoever treated him in that 11-12 season was a disgrace.
I thought that was pretty underrated.
And then Costa worked out for 2 of the 3 seasons.
Yeah.
So yeah, great first season. Let's not talk about the middle one. Great second season. Sorry, third season. And that for me, it's only 3. It's only 3 that's worked out in the whole Roman Abramovich era.
But you know what it is with this though, because like if you look at it, like they're all kind of like similar mold of strikers, right?
Yeah.
When you think about it, the only one who was kind of different was Costa, who was more like an advanced kind of forward. He had pace, unlike the other two. But do we need to go back to that? Like, do we really need like a Lukaku or a Haaland in order for us to be successful? Because it seems like our own Vardy kind of type of striker that we got isn't really working with Werner. What do you guys think? Miss, start with you.
See, the thing I've realized with Timo Werner, and I want to hear what you guys have to say as well, is I feel like he's not an out-and-out striker. I'm starting to realize he's more of an inside forward. He's probably someone who would love to play with an out-and-out striker. That's why I feel at times he's played really well with Havertz playing up front. Whenever we've sort of put him in the middle, or whenever he's in a combination between Pulisic, himself, and Mount, and he sort of has to be pigeonholed in the middle, he's not looked the same. Some of his better games have actually come as an inside forward. I won't say he's a winger. A lot of people say, but Frank used to use him as a left winger. Well, I don't want him as a winger. Winger is different because this formation allows for the wing backs to be the wingers. Do you know what I mean? So your inside forwards are tucked in. And that's where I feel you get the best out of him. And that's why, moving forward, if we do get a striker for next season, which I think we definitely have to, someone alongside Timo Werner, let's say argument's sake, a Haaland or a Lukaku. Kane is probably going to Man City. But someone like Haaland or Lukaku with Timo Werner, I think we'll see a massive improvement on Timo's game, which isn't bad as what a lot of people makes it out to be. He's got a lot of assists, quite a few goals as well. His goal contributions are immense if you look at it as a package. But someone like Lukaku or Haaland alongside Timo Werner will will be very, very electric for us. So I don't think Timo Werner is a striker, my man. I think he's more of an inside forward.
Yeah, I would agree. Just a bit of admin. Links are in the description. Put in chats. You can put in super chats. Mrs. Channel description and Twitter's also.
By the way, I'll share this on my community as well, so that some of my fans can come in.
No, I think you're right, Mason. I think yesterday might have been a final. I mean, I think we've all got it. I think yesterday might have been a final proof to even Werner stands or Werner Hives that he can't lead a front line.
Oh man,
he can't lead a front line because I don't think he wants to lead a front line.
I hate that word, man. I hate that word, hive, man. Because Chelsea is supposed to be about Chelsea, man. And I'm tired of it.
Supporters that really love Werner and defend him to the hill, they don't accept any criticism. I just think yesterday was the final where he can't lead this front line. Okay, he plays better off someone. It's proven when he's played better off Havertz, or even dare I say it, Tammy Abraham as well. He's played better off of Giroud. He just can't do it. And if he is to continue, he's the support striker. I think we all knew that anyway. But when last year when he played for Leipzig, when he played off Paulsen, he was far better at that. But leading the front line, please, no more leading the front line.
Can I throw out something out there, right? If you remember, like the first games he played for us as a striker, and his game for Germany when he plays as a lone striker, he was very good. I don't know what happened to him, but after the first month for Chelsea, his form just went downhill. And no matter how like if he scored or not, he still had that same form. So, like that's the $1 million question, right? If we knew what happened to him, because if you remember that the confidence and his first touch, a lot of Chelsea fans are complaining about his first touch, but you remember like the way he did that dummy against Southampton, and that goal in the friendly against Brighton, if you remember that first touch, mid-air. So he had that ability, but something at Chelsea, I don't know, maybe it's the water at Cobham, I don't know what it is, but it seems that the strikers just forget, like just forget how to be strikers. Because I think it's easy to say he can't play a lone striker because we have Vardy and him are similar build. And Vardy can work as a lone striker in a way,
I think Vardy's a better leading striker than Werner.
Yeah.
He's proven. He's far better than Werner. No, it is Kai. I'm sorry.
But is it because the team is built around Vardy and the team at Chelsea is built around individuals more?
You say that, but I look at Iheanacho when he's come in, even playing with Vardy. I think it's, I don't think. You've got to get the players got to believe in himself that he can do it. And I don't think Timo Werner believes he can lead a front line.
I agree. I agree that I think it's better if we had like a second striker with him. But I don't think we have that at the moment because it's like I said like 100 times. If we can combine our 3 strikers into 1 striker, we'd have the perfect strikers. But individually, they all have their own disadvantages. Like if we take Tammy can't press. He's not very athletic. He looks like he's going to break every time he has the ball. Then you have Giroud, who can't run because he looks like he's running in the desert every time he runs. And then you have Timo Werner, who for some reason is very weak on the ball. He looks like his first touch is gone and left him. And it's a bit, I don't know what is it with the strike.
This is what I want to say. I know we're making a lot of comparison with Vardy. We need to understand Jamie Vardy has been proven in the Premier League. How many seasons has he played in the Premier League? We're comparing
7.
Probably one of the best strikers. I'm not going to say all-time best strikers, but one of the best strikers in Jamie Vardy with Timo Werner, who's literally only played 1 season in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to say. I want to be patient with Timo Werner. I want to see what he does next season.
Yeah,
I've already mentioned in my channel and in social media as well, in Twitter and whatnot, that if he continues to miss the kind of caliber of misses that he's had this season, next season, I think there's going to be a lot of talks that whether is he actually built for us. But if he can rectify that and actually composes himself and, just we have to understand the human side of things. I think sometimes we forget the fact that these players are just, we think that they're just players. They've moved from Germany, a different, just imagine, Kai, I'm not sure where you live at the moment, but let's just say for argument's sake, you were to move from where you are to a different environment, leaving all your friends and family, different food, different culture, different everything.
You're going to struggle. I wouldn't be the good example for that because I moved like 4 countries in my life by the time I turned 25, man.
So you're probably the exception. You're probably the exception. But I know for my sake, like if I was to move, it'd be very, very difficult for me. So we need to understand that factor of the side as well.
You know what's interesting is multiple things that you guys touched upon. One, I'll just go off of what Miz is saying right now. This is the reason why I give most of these players this season and then next season have to show up, which is also why, like, think about it too. Like, you're better able to handle those situations in life when you're older, like a Timo's age or a Ziyech's age. Imagine Kai Havertz, who the kid is just 20 years old, moving out of home,
Younger than Mason Mount. Younger than
Exactly.
Mason Mount.
Young, he's just a kid. He's just a kid, and he's got all this money now, and he has to figure out where he's gonna live and move to London. And then all of a sudden he gets COVID, and it's like people like we were doing a rating show before, and in my opinion, I gave Havertz a 7 because he has all these other excuses, and he's still performing a little bit up to par with the other signings that haven't been performing that well. But for the age and all the other reasons that we know, I just noted that you got to give him a little bit more credit. As for the striker situation, you know, this reminds me and really brings into light for me that it goes to show that being a striker isn't easy, and it goes to show that this is why they get paid so much. Like, of all the positions, I think in football the highest paying position is probably a striker position, because you're gonna win. You have to win games with goals, and these people are really important to the team. So that's why they get paid so much money. That's why Kane is so much. That's why Haaland is so much. That's why Lukaku is so much money. And it goes to show that how much pressure goes into that position alone. And you know, we were bringing up the idea of confidence. I think if Chelsea are going to go into this summer signing a bunch of things, they should sign a sports psychologist at this point. Someone that can sit down with the players, and I'm being mostly serious. Someone that can sit down with these players, talk to them, and see what's going on with their head, and try to get them out of their heads. Because you know, you have Tuchel, who's a very brilliant manager, who's probably telling him all the right things, but he's not a psychologist. He's not a sports psychologist. He can't break down this mental block that you have. At the end of the day, only you could, and a psychologist would be able to help you break that down somehow. I think it'd be a very good investment.
You see, I disagree about a psychologist or a sports psychologist. It's not as if they aren't getting into the positions to score.
Yeah.
It's the finishing. So they need finishing coaching.
But
fair.
I
actually knows how to finish.
I actually disagree about I think they're missing composure, because if you look at Timo, especially, Timo is always in the right spot at the right time.
Exactly.
His off the ball movement is not bad. His off the ball movement is good. He's always in the right place at the right time.
Probably one of the best.
He is. Yeah. But the problem with him is he overthinks it. Like, I don't want to mention the Southampton game again, and the game against Spain, and for Germany, and the game against Spurs. But if you look at the confidence he had back then, he didn't even need to think twice. The way he would score goals without even thinking.
He just knew what to do.
I think his composure. I think he overthinks things. It could be, but I do understand, because moving from a club like RB Leipzig, where you barely have any fans worldwide, and that's no disrespect to RB Leipzig, and coming to Chelsea. Our fans are known to be very easily triggered, very easily criticize our players. Like we have done it to Morata.
Yeah, we've seen it yesterday.
and it's gonna be difficult. But at the same time, I am. This is why one of my issues why I didn't want too young of a striker without someone to be there with him, because I think we have too many young players at the moment where we actually need seniority in the team, especially with a young manager as well. We had a young team, a young manager, which in my opinion is the reason why we had that mid-season struggles at the way that we had, because like nobody knew what they were supposed to do, which we struggled with. But touching on let's move away from the Werner situation. Let's touch on Jorginho.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody here are quite fans of Jorginho, and other than Andrew.
But I have defended him. You got to give me that.
The abuse.
He's been defended.
The abuse he have been getting for the few mistakes that he's been making lately, and I don't know where you stand on this, Miz, but I feel like Mason Mount also has been having a lot of mistakes lately as well, but he hasn't been received the same criticism as Mount. You know what I mean? No. And where do you stand about all this Jorginho hate? Because I don't think it's warranted, because especially how he's been under Tuchel so far.
honestly, boys, hate and abuse is never warranted, regardless of who the player is. So I don't know how some of these fans sometimes operate, like me, right? And maybe it's got to do with maturity. I don't know. Maybe when you're young, you're just stupid, I suppose. I used to be stupid when I was young, but maybe that's a factor. But the way I look at it is, at the end of the day, football is probably the most important thing out of the least important things in life. Do you know what I mean? All of us have lives. All of us have things that we need to take care of and whatnot. So I always find it strange. How can you take it so deep to the fact that you are abusing someone and literally putting on death threats on someone? Like, it baffles my mind. How could you do that? First of all, it's wrong. But secondly, this is just, it's football. Just calm down, my man. Just calm down. Be passionate. I'm not saying don't be passionate. Be passionate. Be very excited, but not to the point where if a player makes a mistake that you're going to go out there and you know, pray the worst case scenario for them in their life. Like, these are human beings with family and kids and whatnot. They have a life, man. You saw what it meant to Pep Guardiola yesterday post-match when he was asked about Aguero. He could not hold his tears because it was more than a player. It was more than a player. It was a relationship. Do you know what I mean? We fail to figure these things out as a fan sometimes, and it hurts me, honestly. Going back to the whole abuse thing and the relationship between Jorginho, there seems to be two groups, right? Yeah. One group is, if you abuse Jorginho, I'm going to counter that by abusing Mason Mount. I want to balance things out. I don't get that. Don't do that. Does Mason Mount warrant criticism? 100% he does. 100% he does. Over the last few games, not just the team, even Mason would admit it, that he hasn't been up to scratch. He needed to finish that yesterday against Aston Villa before Aston Villa went up 1-0. He needed to finish that. FA Cup final, a lot of people can say Kasper Schmeichel made a brilliant save, which he did. But once again, if you're clinical, you finish that. Do you know what I mean? You finish that, and we it's a different game then. But I can't also disregard the stuff that Mason Mount has done this season. The Liverpool goal, the Porto goal, the Real Madrid crucial second leg goal that ensured that we got the victory. And he's such an important cog in our system, in our style that Tuchel wants to play. You take someone out, Mason Mount, the whole unity of the team goes away. So you can understand why Tuchel keeps using him, because he's so important. Going back to Jorginho as well. Jorginho, he's a kind of player, we need to understand that he's set on a particular system. And if you play him under that system, he's fantastic. Under Frank Lampard, not so great, because he didn't fit that. Is he a bad player? No, he's not. He just didn't fit that particular style. Yeah. You look at Thomas Tuchel. Under Thomas Tuchel, he's using him right, and he looks like a fantastic player again. We need to understand that. And this is the whole thing now. The Declan Rice rumors are coming out, and everyone's on the bandwagon again. Look, I think we need something different, and Declan Rice probably will be a very good player to have. But to say Declan is much better than Jorginho and so on and so forth, I think it's so irrational to think that way. There's a lot of things that Jorginho does that Declan Rice doesn't do. There's a lot of things that Declan Rice does that Jorginho doesn't do. We need a bit of both from each side. So I just don't understand sometimes.
Mrs. Wright, and also, I keep saying this, although people may disagree and we need recruitment elsewhere, we lack depth in the middle of the midfield. Yeah. If we had more, we could rotate Jorginho more, and you see betterment of Jorginho. He just might be dead on his feet. Yeah, but remember this season they don't want him every 3 or 4 days.
But Kai, as well.
The thing is, Andrew, they don't want him. They don't want him to rotate. They want him replaced because they associate him with Sarri, and they didn't like Sarri. Yeah. That's why the hate continues.
That's why I don't represent players on Twitter anymore. I think it's bullshit. Everyone just you can't criticize a player without them being compared to a player that they like less. Declan Rice would be in my opinion, I really rate Declan Rice. I think for a good price, he'd be a great signing. But if people think he's just going to come in and sort all of our problems out, I think you're quite delusional. No. He'd be a good backup player for a season or so. You can rotate him in at certain games. Yeah, and
I think there is a lot of better alternative than Rice. I think it doesn't fit us because of my reason is I don't think he has I think he doesn't have the characteristics that we need with a Tuchel system. I think he's too much of a Lampard player. But we'll see what happens. But anyway,
So,
about-
go ahead.
one thing that I do want to say, and I was just mentioning this on my channel, is I get your point, Kai, that maybe he doesn't fit completely the kind of style that we want to play. But recently there's been some reports, if you do believe Matt Law, which a lot do, and most times he seems to have some sort of substance around the news, is saying that Thomas Tuchel fancies him as well. Let's not get it twisted. Declan Rice is a very good player. Let's just put it out there. He's a very good player. You don't help West Ham to be 5th in the Premier League when they literally were in the relegation zone, and he's captaining West Ham. He's now scoring goals as well. At times he comes in with assists, defensively solid. The thing I do want to say about Declan Rice is, and also Lukaku on that matter, I'd rather have players that actually go out there and show the sense that they want to play for Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? Like these guys are actually saying they want to play for Chelsea. Yeah. You think they don't have suitors out there? Man United want Declan Rice. Man City want Declan Rice. They've got many other suitors out there. These players will get snapped up very quick. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But these players are actually coming out and saying they want to play for Chelsea, as opposed to some of these other players that we think might be better suited. But I don't know if they always see Chelsea as their final destination. They see Chelsea as I'll go there, try and see if I perform well, and then I'm going to go to Real Madrid or Barcelona. Do you know what I mean? They don't look at Chelsea as and I don't have issues with it. I just think that that's a tick mark for the players that think they want to come here.
You know, that is a very good point that I nearly forgot about. Because I remember during this transfer window for a while, I was saying the one that just passed. I was saying like I don't want players just for namesake. I want players that will play for the shirt, will play for the jersey. Because we saw what happened with a lot of Man United transfers that just didn't. They were great players on paper, but just didn't turn up for the team when it came to turning up for the team. Alexis Sanchez is like the paper boy for that. Yeah. But and I agree. I think, you know what, putting that into perspective, it's going to change a lot of the transfers that I have in mind. I still vouch for Frank Kessie, CDM, but that's another discussion. But I did want to touch on the whole Mason Mount Jorginho thing. Let's get it right too. Like, although lately Mason Mount hasn't been nearly as criticized as Jorginho's been, with even though Mason in recent game hasn't been up to the standard that we've seen him, let's not forget in the beginning of the season, this kid took a lot of abuse. Like the amount of times that he was named Lampard's son, that he wouldn't play under Tuchel, all the haters doubting him, and the man stood above the criticism. So praise him for that. But right now, like the hot topic is Jorginho, and it upsets me so much because I pointed this out in yesterday's stream. And funny enough, Miz, under Tuchel, Chelsea have played 29 games. You could only really blame Jorginho's errors for maybe 3 of those games. The West Brom game, Arsenal, and you can kind of say that yesterday's game was a little bit of his fault, even though we were losing regardless of the error he made. So that's 3 games. The fact that I can just name it shows that how consistent he's been. Outside of those 3 games, he's been so consistent. And let's get it right too. When he played in Real Madrid, this man had been playing over and over and over and over again, to the point that like we had to rotate him maybe a game or 2 with Billy Gilmore because we don't have the depth in there. But this man was being worn down to the ground, and the fact that he still during that Real Madrid game with Conte stepped up and performed like the champion that he wants to be. Come on, like stop saying this agenda that Jorginho hasn't been consistent and all that.
What about Porto's second leg? Porto's second leg was physical. Yeah, he was, and he stood up big time. It's great.
And even in this game, these games that people are saying that he's not good under the press, which I know sometimes from time to time there are teams that do press him well, and he's not that great under the press, but he's even stepped up in a lot of those games too. How often do you guys see the games where Jorginho is getting pressed, 3 people just trying to pinch him in, and then boom, he just has the ball on the other side of the field? It's amazing. You know what? People don't see it.
You know what? People are talking about like wanting Rice because he wants to play for the shirt and what. Did you see what it meant to Jorginho to get Champions League football? Like,
it was crying.
Iconic.
Chelsea.
Iconic.
Yeah. So for me, it's the guy. It means a lot to be a Chelsea player.
And you know what, Ty?
No, Marshall. I'm gonna say something controversial, but a lot of people don't like him because he's Italian. And if he was English, he wouldn't have get this kind of. But the reality is, the way that he wants to play for Chelsea, I do nothing but admire the guy. He's not one of my favorite players. He's not one of my favorite players as far as like as midfielders. But I respect him immensely. Any player that comes to Chelsea get hated on by half.
One thing I want to point out too.
Still wants to play like out of his mind for the shirt, and I have nothing but respect for him.
I absolutely agree with you 100%. Absolute, my full respect to Jorginho just for that. He is playing for Chelsea. He plays for the shirt. He plays for the badge. I love 100%. That. But the other thing I want to point out too, listen, as much as a lot of the fan base want him out, they think he's dead. He's been dead for 3 years. I'm sorry, but I'm going to listen to the 3 previous coaches that have tried him in this team. Sorry. Lampard, and now Tuchel, which if you don't think Tuchel, if you rate Tuchel, then you should be rating his decisions as well.
Sure. Look at the way he hugs him, man.
playing.
Look at the way he hugs him.
Yeah,
Tuchel wanted him in PSG. Tuchel wanted him in PSG.
Yeah.
Pep Guardiola wanted him in Man City. Do you know what I mean?
These managers rate him. He's there for a reason. He plays for a reason. He's good.
No, you know what it is. You know what it is. Well, sorry. Let me just I'll get you going. Yeah. Both Kovacic and Jorginho get so much hate from our fan base. But if you look at the things that Tuchel said about them, if you look at the things that Pep Guardiola said about them every time we played them, you would understand that we have very good players in our hand. But people are obsessed with these assists and goals from midfielders. If you remember Xavi Iniesta, they rarely had any goals. But look at the difference due to that Barcelona midfield. And I'm not comparing them to those two, but I'm just saying that people need to understand that midfielder's role is not there to like look at Ballack. Ballack in his whole time at Chelsea scored like I think 12 or 16 goals, but he was so crucial for us in midfield. People need to stop associating deep midfielders, like CMs, with goals and assists because that's not their roles.
Yes.
We shouldn't be blaming those midfielders for attackers not scoring goals.
Exactly.
You know what, Kai? It's exactly what you just said. If our attackers were pumping in goals, no one talks about these players.
Yeah,
because our attackers are not pumping goals.
That's the biggest argument with Gini Wijnaldum.
I said that earlier on the stream. I said, this system is not... Our midfielders are there to defend in this system, okay? They're not there to... They're there to give the ball and then give it to the attackers or win backs in this system. Yeah. It's the same in Antonio Conte's one, although Matic did get freakishly a lot of assists in that season for some reason. But I freely admit Jorginho is not one of my favourite players, but I've just seen the overreaction to anything he does negatively. And one thing that got me, I was watching the FA Cup final, and he had one. He actually played. I thought he played well in the FA Cup final. He had one misplaced pass that didn't lead to anything. Yeah, and on Twitter there was an explosion of get him off, and it was just that people are just waiting for him to make one mistake, and they go over him. I knew it. Like I said earlier,
it's agendas.
I think because we haven't not got a lot of depth in that midfield, I think he is in whatever they call it in the red zone at the moment. Okay, he's playing in the red zone, and if if Kovacic had been fit over the last few weeks, Jorginho would have been rotated more, and you would have seen the best of him. Yeah. I think when he took him off in the FA Cup final, I think hang on, Kai. I think we took him off in the FA Cup final. I think we lost control of that midfield.
Yep.
Okay, I think we lost control of it, and Andrew, he is so important. He is important to this team.
It's not fair. The reason I'm saying it's not fair because if you remember that City game and Gilmour was completely outdone by City, nobody mentioned a word about it. And I do understand that Gilmour is younger and he would make mistakes about it, but people forget those are our players. They play for Chelsea. They're not playing for rivals. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I have my fair share of criticism with Mount, right? Because I do believe there's a player in there. But I do also at the same time don't like the fact that his fanboys act like he's perfect as he is.
Yeah.
And therefore it's making it a bit very difficult to tolerate all of this stuff because people are comparing to Lampard. Those are big shoes. Those are big shoes to fill.
It's not the same.
Need to stop that.
Yeah. And with 13 goals at 73 appearances, it's not even similar. So I think those players our players are young. We need.
Do you know what? There's a myth though as well with Jorginho. Yeah. There's a myth that he's bad defensively. He's just not an athletic person. He averages more tackles per game than Declan Rice, by the way.
Yeah.
And he averages slightly less interceptions. He under Lampard as well. all the people that don't rate Jorginho always talk on about how he was crap under Lampard. He was not crap under Lampard. He had the fans singing his name away at Southampton. I remember after a masterclass away, and Lampard promoted him to vice captain. If you look at what Lampard said about Jorginho, he praised him so much and said he should be known as Chelsea's Jorginho. Players like Declan Rice as well have admitted that they look up to Jorginho in the way they play. And Pep Guardiola wanted him over Rodri for a massive reason.
Pep Guardiola wanted our whole midfield. He wanted the whole midfield. He wanted Kovacic
and he's
before we
one of the
signed
best
him.
at what he does. Is he a
And he
world
wanted Jorginho as well. But
is he a world-class midfielder? I wouldn't say he's a world-class midfielder. I wouldn't say he's even he's probably not even a top-class midfielder. He's just a very good player.
I disagree, Will. I think he's a top-class midfielder. I think people just look at his mistakes and they don't look at the things that he does right. It's just he's under a microscope. But anyway, let's
just quickly. One last thing I'll say off the back of what Will said as well. Will, I've seen quite a lot of interviews of Chelsea footballers recently. There was one with Andres Christensen, and they asked him who's the best, who's one of the best midfielders in Chelsea, and composed straight away, undoubtedly said Jorginho. Like the amount of respect that Jorginho gets inside the team from his teammates is immense, and I think we need to appreciate that. Pat Nevin in recent times in Matisse's channel when he came, he singled out. He goes, "If you guys get to see Jorginho in training and the caliber of passing he's doing there, you'll be in awe. You'll be absolutely in awe." So there's a player in him. 100%, there's a player in him.
He's a very good player.
Is he a world-class, unbelievable, mind-blowing player? Probably not, but he does his job well.
Efficiently. And if you look at us without him, you notice the pattern, how we play.
You notice it.
How we play in the midfield. You start noticing it.
FA Cup final when he took him off. We lost
I dare you guys. Next game we play without Jorginho. Look at our midfield and look at us with him in the midfield. And tell me you don't see a difference.
Let's move on for Jorginho because we could talk hours about
Let's move on to the bubble butt guy, man.
Today there were reports
Hazard
coming back. He's
no.
unhappy. They're putting it up. Obviously, this is the Real Madrid marker. Such papers working this up now because they want to get rid of him. It's a very emotional subject of Eden Hazard. I think he is universally loved by all Chelsea fans. If you don't love him, I question why you don't love him. But would you take him back, Miz?
Oh my days! Honestly, I'm pretty sure you boys, off the back of that Aston Villa game, probably would have been so sour in the mouth, and I was like, "Oh, that's not the way I want to get top four. That definitely is not the way I want to get top four." Like thanking Spurs.
Oh, no, don't say it. Don't say it.
Do you know what I mean? It's taboo. We can't even say it.
It hurts to hear it.
And then you go to social media because you want to fight because you're just in that mentality. You're so pissed off, right?
Yeah.
And then you see a news like Eden Hazard and he wants to come back and everyone being nostalgic. Here's the thing, right? I get nostalgia. I look back at my time sometimes as a kid. And I'm like, oh, I wish I could go back and do this again and whatnot. And but we need to be sensible as well at times. This is how I look at it, and I don't know if you guys agree or not, right? Because the fan base seems to be very split. Because I did a poll, and it's very, very even, right? This is how I look at it. I was seriously close to tears when this guy was leaving. He was flirting with leaving 6 months before he was leaving the Sarri season. He was talking it up. He was saying that it's his dream to play for Real Madrid. It's his idol, Zinedine Zidane, wants to play under him, so on and so forth. So he was building it up before he left, and we all sort of agreed. Then there was the moment, obviously, the iconic words, I think it's goodbye. And then obviously Real Madrid printing his shirt. His name was coming. I swear to God, I was in tears seeing all of that, right? It was an emotional... We all had gone through some amazing time with him as a player, some amazing goals. He's made a decision that he wanted to leave Chelsea. I said it at that time, that Eden, I was very vocal in social media that I have dreams as well. I've got massive dreams to do X, Y, and Z in my life. But sometimes you need to realize maybe where you are is probably the best thing for you. He was being loved. He was being loved by each and every one of us. He was worshipped, literally. You threw all of that to go and pursue something when you could have left an everlasting legacy in Chelsea Football Club. Do you know what I mean? Everlasting legacy. You threw all of that. That, for me, that has value. That has a lot of value than playing for your dream club. Do you know what I mean? So it is what it is. You did that. You went on and you did that. Now that it hasn't worked out, and we've seen it many times in Real Madrid, big players when they've gone there, Gareth Bale being one of them, being booed by his own players over there, fans over there. Real Madrid is never going to love you the way we loved you, man. You should have known that.
They're already abusing him. They're already abusing him.
You should have known that. You should have known that. And now you're injury prone and all of that. Literally in the last 2 seasons, you've done nothing in Real Madrid. I think there's some stats that he scored 4 goals, literally featured barely any time.
27 games, I think.
27. I want to look forward. For me, it's looking forward. All right. I can't be looking backwards. I need to build for the forward. You look at City, bro. You look at City. You think they wanted to let go of Aguero? You look at Pep Guardiola, the way he's tearing up. He's literally cannot speak. He doesn't want to let this player go, but he's letting him go because they understand that every player has an expiration date. Every player has an expiration date. And if you stay beyond that, it's to your detriment. It's to your detriment. You got to move on. They're building for the future. They're probably going to get Harry Kane. And we want to bring back Eden Hazard again and get into the nostalgia. I think we need to move on. And the move on is, if we are looking for a winger, then it's Jadon Sancho. We need to build something with a new player. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's my thoughts.
I would have, I know it doesn't mean much to other fans, probably even not to Chelsea fans. If he would stay, though, Hazard, I would have given him the captaincy. Because he's earned it. But you're right. They say two things, don't they? They say the green always isn't. The grass always isn't green on the other side, and also you never go back. It's like you don't. It's like you don't get remarried to the same person twice. You know what I mean? You know, if it ended, you don't go back and marry him again because you know why did it end the first time? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's changed? I think. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if he comes back, he gets properly treated because I do rate our medical team. I do rate our medical staff as one of the best around. I don't know. I really, you know, I'm more leaning to the side of don't do it.
He's going to be 31, man.
He's going to be 31. That's the problem.
Yeah, but look at it.
It's going to cost £40+ million.
Look at this. Look at it this way,
And
right? Look at this way, right?
I don't think it'll work out well.
Look at it this way, right?
Yeah.
It depends how we get him. I wouldn't mind for him to be our second or third choice winger, you know. If we can get him on a loan, some type of deal where we don't have to pay like loads of money for him, I wouldn't mind him for the leadership, for the squad depth. But to us to bring him back for a big fee after those injuries, I'm worried about it.
Have they paid us all that money?
Yeah.
Have they paid us
To be
all
honest,
that money?
No, I don't think they have.
But we should get him for free then.
I'm not a big fan.
Paid us all that money. Should get him for free.
I would prefer for us to spend, like, if we're gonna spend 80 million on a winger, I prefer us getting a Sancho, a player who can there on the highest level, who can play for us for the next 8 or 9 years.
And you got 10 years. Yeah, you at least got 10 years.
The only way I'd take Hazard back is if, you know, the emotional side of me would say, come back, Hazard. You're the king of Stamford Bridge, whatever. But the only way I would pay money for Hazard on a permanent deal to get him back was if 2 players were completely off the table, and that's Jadon Sancho or Jack Grealish. If those 2 are completely off the table, then Hazard would be a decent option for a cheap price, for a cut price. I think that would be fine.
Sorry, Marshall. It's like I said, if they haven't paid us all that money they're supposed to pay us for Hazard, then we should get him back for free. Do you know what I mean? Put the incentives on there. We should get him back for free.
And you know what? The other thing is, as Kai said, maybe second or third option. I don't think Hazard comes in to be second or third, bro.
No, I don't.
He comes in to be the king again. He comes in to be the king, and that would mean you really have to make a decision about Callum Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic, and Ziyech maybe as well. Do you know what I mean?
I think I get rid of Ziyech.
Wait, I'm gonna ask Miz the question about this. Do you think we need to improve on our wingers? Like, we need that other wing, because if we take emotion aside, Cho hasn't proved himself in the last 3 years. We can find all the excuses in the world. The managers didn't give him a chance. All that stuff. We can be subjective. We can play all this lovey-dovey crap, but he wasn't good enough. Let's face it. He was on and off, hot and cold. We have Pulisic, who's constantly injured. We have Ziyech, who's a winger, but it's not really a winger, and it seems like the physicality of the Premier League is taking him time to adapt. When do we say, okay, we need a solution on those areas? Because if you look at us from the wings, we struggle. We struggle a lot, you know. So do we need to start looking at it? Okay, we need another solution, or do we give these guys more time? Because for me, I'm at the point where I would get someone else and build from there, you know.
I personally think we don't need to invest right now on the winger situation. I think we need to invest on a striker. You get us a classic striker who can bang in 20, 25 plus goals, these wingers will come alive. So that's why I feel like I want to have at least one more season under Thomas Tuchel to see what they do next season. I think this season, it was a bit different circumstances. Thomas Tuchel had to come in and do a bit of a madness. He was given the objective that you got to get top 4 with whatever you can do, and he started playing the 3 at the back. I don't know whether we will continue with the 3 at the back. We possibly could. I think I want to give Thomas Tuchel the time, one more season with these wingers to see what madness he can do, because I feel like he can do well. So I wouldn't invest on a winger, but I think Thomas Tuchel, if you flip it as well, the other side, where he does like fluid front 3. That's why I'm a bit concerned whether is he going to go for an out-and-out number 9, and that's why I think I'm okay to entertain someone like Sancho, because he likes that fluid front 3. He likes players that can be everywhere up front, not just pigeonholed in one area. So to answer your question, Kai, personally, I wouldn't pencil down a winger because I feel like we've got a lot of talented wingers, which I want to give one more season. I need a striker.
But would you want to miss out on Sancho? That's for me, because sometimes the opportunities, you know, like it's like, do you want to give more? Because we missed out on Mbappe, it could have been ours. We missed out on Neymar, he could have been ours. So those are players that could have changed the dynamic of our team.
Yes.
So do we really want to do that? Do we want to miss another potential world-class player because we want to kind of nurture players who are not really proving themselves for us? And I do think we can get both a winger and a striker at the moment. I do think we need them, but if you feel like we need to give them more of a chance. But
short answer, probably no, man. I think you're right. We need to get someone like Sancho. We don't want another opposition to get Sancho. Imagine Sancho goes to Man United or he goes to Man City. Do you think Man City probably thinks like us? Oh, we don't need another winger. We just need a striker. They probably go, we need a winger, we need a striker, we need a DM, and they're going to just develop and they're going to just monopolize this league. So short answer, I would take Sancho. Yes.
Do you think, sidebar here, do you think we're not seeing the best of Ziyech because there's not a typical number 9 in there? You know, when he likes to cut, when he's on the right, when he likes to cut back, reverse on his left foot and swing it in. And also with Ziyech, I don't think this formation suits him at all. So I think if we keep Ziyech and we switch the formation, you might see a better Ziyech next season, an additional striker. Do you think that might be the case as well, Miz? That's why we're not seeing the best of Ziyech?
Just a little secret. I'm a massive Ziyech fanboy. I've never been a fanboy.
So was I when he signed. When he signed, I was like, oh my god.
Like Marshall, man. Marshall is also
No. Let's get it right. Let's get the narrative right. I am not a fanboy, but he has been overly criticized, and I have been defending
Marshall,
him.
there's nothing wrong to be a fanboy, man. You be proud. You be proud, all right? You be proud.
Only one person. Only one person gets my heart, and that's Kai Havertz. All right, we'll leave it at that.
Look, with me. I've watched a lot of Ziyech, right? Even Ajax days, Morocco days as well, when World Cup comes around. The thing that did for me was when I saw his video that Ajax made for him and his mother said the message. Ziyech was just sitting there and tears were coming down his eyes. He was just sitting there, didn't say a word, and his mum was giving his message that I'm proud of you. You're going to do a lot for us, for the family, and this and that. And for 5 minutes, he was quiet. And then he said that I'm gonna rip it up. I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna kill it in Premier League, and that sort of stuck on my heart, man. I saw that video, I couldn't stop crying, man, because I connect with my mum like that. Do you know what I mean? Like when your mother believes in you so much, man, you feel like you can do anything in the world. Do you know what I mean? Nothing will stop you. So I completely agree that this season, maybe the circumstances has not suited him. But you look at some of the key goals he scored as well. Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, that very key goal. Man City, both the times, FA Cup semi-finals, key goals. Frank Lampard times, I think Ziyech was playing very well under Frank Lampard because it was more suited to his system, right? Newcastle, I remember early in the season, Ziyech was just killing it during those days.
It was a 4-3-3, wasn't it? It was a 4-3-3.
4-3-3. So I think if if Thomas Tuchel does change it up next season, we're going to see a different Ziyech. I've talked to a few Ajax fans as well. They've said a similar thing happened to Ziyech first season in Ajax, and then after that, he absolutely destroyed that league. It was ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? The assists and goals were just racking up. And the thing about Ziyech, what I like is, boys, he can have a very bad game, but there's one amazing pass that is going to lead to an assist, or there's one amazing shot that's going to lead to a goal. So he's that X factor. That's all I have to say about Ziyech.
Can I just say about Ziyech real quick? I feel that with Ziyech, and like I said, I've been his biggest defender. I dropped that defense when it came to that FA Cup final because I felt like that FA Cup final for me, Ziyech returned to that Ziyech that I saw in Man United, who didn't really look like he wanted to give it an effort or a try or anything. He just kind of was waiting for the ball and maybe doing something with it, having a moment. But I've been saying this about Ziyech a lot, and I know most of the chat, most of the people in the community don't agree with me, but I feel like Ziyech falls under the same category as Reece James, where both of these people have been robbed of multiple assists this season. Like, so some people don't agree with me, but when I look at some of the passes and the quality of passes that Ziyech has, and then when I see Werner getting it and Werner having a horrible touch that just ruins that clear opportunity that Ziyech gave you on a silver platter, people don't want to mention that. People don't want to talk about it. People don't want to admit that, wow,
Marshall,
if we had a better striker, Ziyech would have more points or more assists and goals. Yeah.
Marshall, do you remember against Porto's second leg, how Ziyech comes off of the bench and that outside of the foot pass to Pulisic, and Pulisic was one-on-one with the keeper, missed it as well. Like, that was another clear chance of assist that he's missed out.
The man gets robbed just as much as Reece James.
I have a theory. I actually have a theory. I think we are sacrificing our creativity from the midfield, and we're sacrificing the ability for our attackers for a more solid defense. That's one of the issues we also had with the three at the back. If you remember Conte's second season, we also had a similar issue where our players couldn't really break smaller teams because of the. Somehow we're still winning most of our midfield battles. If you look at the way we played against Liverpool with the midfield, even though we had like one man less in midfield, and the way we beat City in the midfield battle as well. But it kind of sacrifices our players, because if you look at the way that they're playing, it's difficult for the attackers to find space, because at the end of the day they're playing against 4 defenders where there's 3 attackers, and it's kind of complicated for them to play. So I do think a lot of our players will be better if once we get more seniority in there, once we move back to 4 at the back. I think we would be a better team, because I do think this we're sacrificing our attack and our creativity.
Creativity.
We're also sacrificing Wi-Fi.
Creativity.
Do you know? We've
I'm here.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. Sorry.
Will, what were we saying?
With Ziyech, I'm not the biggest fan of Ziyech, if I'm being completely honest, and I have at times even over-criticised him.
But he's a fan of Adoy for some reason.
But we can get into that later. But with Ziyech, I sort of know what he can give us. I know, off the ball, he can't press as well as a player like Werner. His technical ability is not the issue. Technically, he's a good player. He's a very good player. But I just like a player that is effective for most of the 90 minutes instead of players that can just give us that one moment of magic. And I get sometimes that you need a player that can do that, but I don't think Ziyech is consistent enough to a level of a Bruno Fernandes where.
But that's not fair though. That's not fair.
It is fair.
It's not fair.
He's a 28-year-old. He's a 28-year-old.
Yeah, but you can't.
Wait a minute, Kai. He's a 28-year-old that is meant to be in his prime, who has been lauded as a top-class player at Ajax, and apparently he's meant to be this amazing big game player. So for a player who's 28 years old, I feel like criticism is.
How is it slander though? I don't understand you people, man.
I don't over-criticize him anymore, because there's no point in me just repeating my point on Ziyech each week. I know what we get from him. I know why I don't like him. I get other parts of his game that I do like. There's no point in me just slandering Ziyech each week. It's why I try not to talk about him, if I'm being honest.
Can I say something in response to Will? You were mentioning how you want a player who's consistent, more consistent than Bruno, I believe you said, who has, or as consistent as Bruno?
What I said is, when you've got a player such as Ziyech who gives you those one-off moments, and Bruno I think is a little bit similar, although his off the ball works better. I feel like Bruno can deliver those moments on a more consistent basis than Ziyech, where you can look at it and say, okay, he gives us enough moments that other deficiencies in his game are okay.
See,
I don't think Ziyech gives you that
my
level.
thing.
But
My
he
thing with,
saved us quite a lot this season.
he
like,
has.
a lot.
He has had
Has
those
he?
moments where he has saved us. Hold on. He has had those moments where he has saved us. But I want to say, like, you're saying you want more consistent, that in a more consistent basis, right? The thing is that Ziyech, whether you believe it or not, when you look at him closely in those games and you really analyze it, he has been consistently trying to make creative passes and make creative plays and put people in good positions to score. It's the rest of our attack, and not just him. It's let's get it right too. It's our whole attack has been not firing off really well. It's that he gets robbed of those opportunities, just like Reece James does when he gets a solid cross, because we don't have enough strikers that are doing anything with those opportunities. Like the biggest example is Werner. Like, they had some good chemistry during that Man City game, but there's so many times where I see Ziyech giving the ball to Werner and Werner having that horrible touch and just completely losing the opportunity that Ziyech just gave him on a silver platter. And it's not just Werner. It's also with Mount. It's also with Pulisic. It's just our strikers, our attackers are just not firing off to give this guy the creativity and the consistency that you're asking for.
And the other thing that I want to add as well is, have you noticed, you know, and I want to go back to what Kai said, we are sacrificing our attack for a better defense. And Thomas Tuchel has said it many times in the press conference that it is totally unfair what's happening to Ziyech. He himself is saying that he wants to give this player more minutes. You look at what Ziyech did. I remember against Atletico Madrid, he scored that goal, and the next game he didn't start. Yeah. Against Man City in the FA Cup semi-final, he scored that goal, and then he didn't start the following. Man City in the Premier League, he scores that goal, then he misses out on the Arsenal game.
Yeah.
You got to build this player up. You can't just be playing him, taking him out, playing him, taking him. You have to give him that opportunity to get into that rhythm. I honestly believe our rut that has happened over the recent times, it started from that Arsenal rotation. We should not have rotated that many. Ziyech deserved to start that game along with many other players that deserved to start.
He came on and he looked really good too during that game.
He should have
Even
started.
yesterday. He changed. He extended the game for us when he came on yesterday.
With Ziyech as well, there's a reason why, and I'm not a person to say, I don't actively want any of our signings that we got last year to leave this summer, because I think that's a bit unfair. But I do understand the way we're playing at the moment with the current shape are sort of, they're not wingers, they're more narrow. You know, you have to be. I don't think Ziyech has enough intensity to play between the lines. If I'm being honest, he's not. His close control isn't that good. He's not the best dribbler in the world. He's not a better dribbler than Odoi or Pulisic. You know, it's.
He's a better passer though, Will. He's a better passer than both combined.
No, but
in my opinion,
when you're that narrow and you're between the lines, your close control does need to be on it.
Yeah, I agree with Will.
And you have to be off the ball. You have to be more intense. And Ziyech just doesn't have those traits. That's not his fault.
I'll just point out this observation of mine. I feel like his dribbling and his ability to get past beat a player is severely underrated.
No,
like
Marshall,
like that pass yesterday he had.
I've seen some plays where Ziyech just completely sits down a fucking player.
Ziyech is not He's not an awful dribbler. But
no, he's not.
He's not quick enough to get away with not being the best dribbler.
He's not as good as like a Pulisic. I get you.
He's not.
I don't think he's a winger though. I don't think he's a winger though, Will.
Okay,
that's why
he's playing more narrow and he's still struggling. My point is, he's not good enough as a dribbler. He's not as good as like a Sancho or a Grealish at dribbling, but he's not quick enough to get away with not being the best dribbler in the world. If you get what I mean.
So I mean, that's what I said. Is we're finishing this and move on to the next one, but I just don't think this we don't get the best out of it with this formation. I just don't think it suits him. Let's combine two of these formations. We did a rant yesterday. It was a rant about the Villa game, but Miz, let's combine the two. The Villa game performance and then making the top four. Has anything after the final whistle changed of your opinion between the end of the final whistle and today? Are you still like? Because for me, it was like I said to loads of people. We got top four. It was like being an alternate. Do you know what I mean? It's like So top four had already been picked, but someone couldn't fulfil their duties, and they've given us the place as the fourth spot because we didn't get it ourselves. What did you make of that? The performance against Villa, and then making the top four after. What was your overall opinion?
Sour, man. Just a sour taste. I'm pretty sure all of us, when we did our review, I'm not saying top four is something to be celebrated. We shouldn't be celebrating. It's an expectation of Chelsea Football Club to be in top four. We should be challenging for the title. We should be on the last day having a battle with Man City for the title. Do you know what I mean? Or whoever it is. Yeah, not for top four. And then on top of that, when you don't win to get the top four, when it was in our hands, and literally another team had to help us out, it just doesn't sit well with me, man. And that team has to be Spurs as well. it just keeps on piling on more and more. And the fact that, I want to share something, a very funny analogy. It's like this, boys, right? Over the last few games. It's like when you have the best foreplay, you're having the best foreplay, but then the action comes and you just give up in 1 minute. That's what's happening to us right now. We've been having the best foreplay under Thomas Tuchel, and when it matters the most, where you need to give it your best to your woman, and you just give up. You give up. You think she's going to be impressed? You think she's going to be impressed? She's not going to be impressed, my man. She is not going to be impressed. That's how I feel right now. I'm not impressed.
That's a good analogy, man. That's a good analogy.
I'm not impressed. You can have the best foreplay. I don't care. When it's action time, you better deliver, my boy. Do you know what I mean? So
it's very unfiltered.
It is. We love it. That's why we love it.
Didn't you think they played like they'd already qualified for the Champions League?
Yeah.
Yesterday they played like I just didn't get it.
Am I the only one who was mad? Am I the only one who was annoyed when Tuchel told them like, "Oh, calm down"? Like,
I was so annoyed. He was literally saying, "Don't worry about it." I'm like, "What do you mean, don't worry about it? Go out there and win the match."
It's Aston Villa, man. Jesus.
I wouldn't have told them. I wouldn't have told them.
That ruined that hurt my day so much. Like, I literally put such a damper in my day. I was streaming later that night, angry. I was just annoyed. Like, I didn't feel like we got top four. It felt like we were gifted top four.
But let me just have this observation about it, right? A few months ago, Miz, I was watching some of your content, right? When Lampard, the whole ship sinked. And a lot of us were not really thinking that we were going to get top four because it started getting more distant and more distant. And then Tuchel came in, and I think he overachieved for what we were expecting from him, right? Yeah. And now we're in Champions League. A lot of people didn't expect us to going to have Champions League next season. A lot of people were saying, let's get Benitez. I love you, Monster, but that's to you, my man. He said, let's get Benitez, finish the season, and and let's see what next season who we're going to get. And now we're sitting in a much healthier position. Because a lot of people don't realize why Lampard was sacked. Because the Champions League in the middle of COVID is very, very important. We need that financial stability. If we basically didn't get Champions League, we went 2 years backwards, back to the Sarri days.
Absolutely.
To the Europa League. So we needed that Champions League. And now that we got it, just because we were in the Champions League final and the FA Cup final, we're like, oh shit, we could have won that cup. Yeah. We could have done this. We could have done that. But the reality is, like Tuchel said it, after the Lampard downfall, the board wanted us to get top four. Like, that was our goal. Yeah. What we're doing now is achieving more than what was expected of us.
Yeah.
I want us to win the Champions League. If we can win the Champions League with this team, that this team is not ready to compete crap that was said by our former manager would be completely wiped out. That's the only reason I want it to happen. Plus, Chelsea getting Champions League is. But what do you guys think? Do you think we're a bit overreacting to the situation that we? Because people are saying, "Oh, we got in last minute." No, we didn't. We were working towards this for some time to get to where we are now, to get to the Champions League. It's not like people gifted us the last minute.
So that's one of my biggest fears, that if we don't win that Champions League, Frank Lampard gets to be right about that. And it makes me so mad because I don't like
since day one, baby.
We've proved him wrong in so many occasions. We've seen what this team could do, and this is the biggest thing too. This Champions League, if we win it, I cherish it almost more than the first Champions League we won in 2012 because we won it. Listen. We in that Champions League, we were on the ropes, and we got through by the skin of our teeth. This run here that we've done with this team, this young team, by the way,
slapping teams apart.
tearing the competition apart. We're so dominant, and if we win it now, these guys are still kids. These guys are still kids. Like the team that won it in 2012, they were on their last legs. There's we got to do it this season because next season I don't know if we'll have the same opportunity. These are kids. We're basically stamping our name and saying, look, we're here in Europe right now, and we're going to be here for a long time. And that's why I think this is so important that we win it. Yesterday's game, look, I've calmed down a little bit more. I was getting on Pulisic a lot. But I'm gonna relax a little bit because at the end of the day, he did get us an assist. He did help create an opportunity for us to kind of get back into the game. But outside of that, it was rough. It was rough to watch that game and just in general. Chilwell was a little frustrating, even though he did get us the goal. Our whole attack was just frustrating. Not being clinical enough. Mount not being clinical. Werner not being clinical. Pulisic was kind of missing throughout the whole game, and a little bit of mistakes here and there from Kovacic and Jorginho. Which Kovacic, I give him a little bit of leeway because he's been injured for about a month and a half now. But and that's another thing. I go back to the whole Jorginho hate, which I don't understand. People like to say that, Jorginho's a good midfielder, but when he has his bad games, he's bad. It's like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? Like, that's literally any player. Any player can have really, really good games, but when they're bad, they're bad. Like, that's any player. Like Miz mentioned before, these people are human. They're gonna make mistakes. Maybe one day, like Timo is trying to score a goal, and the reason he's missing so much is because his rank on Fortnite went down like tenfold the night before. Like they're human. These players are human. So I mean, I think I'm a little bit more lax about the Aston Villa game. Still a little disappointed at the way we got top four, but at the end of the day, the positive is we got top four. We are Champions League next season, and we're okay.
I've got to say this. Winning it the first time is never the same. Winning it the first time is always for me the best. That Champions, I know that Champions League run for me is not. Obviously, it's legendary for us. I think it's legendary in the competition. Yeah, because
it's iconic. It's
iconic. I mean, you can't.
Marshall, it's like losing your virginity. You always remember your first time.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Even though we lost,
even though we lost.
You know what? Losing your virginity is never the best. It's never your best sex, right? Just for me, Marshall. Just for me, Marshall. You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying, but for me, that can't be topped. It would be different.
Yeah.
Let me just say, I wasn't angry yesterday. I was deflated because it wasn't like. Because we didn't get there on our own, and I don't want. That's not Chelsea.
But we did though. Andrew.
No, we didn't. We didn't.
Yes, we did. We are the reason we went from 9th to 3rd.
No, Kai. We lost 2 out of the 3 last games. Yeah, we should have not. We should have. You know what? We shouldn't have even.
No, I agree with.
Hang on. We shouldn't have even had to go to the last game. We should have beaten Arsenal and had our feet up yesterday. That's what we should have done. It's the fact that these guys, like I said to you guys yesterday, they played like they'd already qualified for the Champions League yesterday. That was the thing.
Yeah.
They were just like there was no urgency. Look, the attack is the attack. Pulisic.
Yeah, but I don't agree with that. We didn't deserve it because we've been impressive other than this last few games.
To touch on Kai's point a little bit though,
we didn't sail in like we took it. Do you know what I mean?
I understand. It's underwhelming.
You know, like Sarri's one. You know, like Sarri's one where we just came out of nowhere and finished third.
Yeah, but you know what? I have an issue with this.
We took it.
I have an issue with this.
We took it and earned it. This one, I just feel deflated.
We came half of the season. We already lost 6 games before the half of the season, right?
Yeah.
Tuchel came in midway through the season, and we're still better than last season.
Yeah.
So it's not the most orgasmic way to get Champions League, but I still think it's more impressive than last season when we lost.
Not
12
the best
times.
foreplay.
We lost 12 times. So I think people need to not like overthink it because we did come out of the clutch of nowhere and got them Champions League.
If we're talking about deserve, we shouldn't just talk about deserve just off the base of the last 4 or 5 games. That needs to be from the start of when Tuchel started. So from that perspective, I completely agree with Kai that Thomas Tuchel's done a madness. It's just my issue is that we are on clutch moments, we are seeming to sort of fall apart, and that's my issue. Thomas Tuchel has said there's no point in doing well and making it to the finals if you lose the finals. There's no point in that. You make it to the finals to win finals. So this is where my mentality of what you boys have all said. We can't have too many young players in the team. There has to be a balance of experienced players that know what to do in these sort of situations. You know, for example, Thomas Tuchel last season in the final, he lost. I expect him to correct that wrong this season. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want him to face that again. So I'm hoping that factor kicks in.
But at the same time, Andrew, just let me say this one moment. And then you go ahead. Yeah. But at the same time, none of us expected this team to get Champions League. 3 months ago, final. Sure. 3 months ago, nobody thought we were going to even go and beat Atletico Madrid. And beat Atletico, beat Real Madrid, and then we start dreaming. So I think this team does deserve respect, because look at the average age of this team is 23 years 100%. Old. So 100%. People still need to give this team credit. I feel like people say, "Oh, our players are shit. Our players are blah blah." If our players are shit, they wouldn't have beat a Real Madrid that is experienced. That won I think this team by itself won 3 or 4 Champions Leagues. So people need to give this team credit. Yes, even if they don't win the Champions League, and I want us to win the Champions League more than anything, this team deserves credit because based on their age, based on the limitation that their previous manager gave them in the media to get to the Champions League final, it still deserves massive applause.
For sure.
And and that's why I kind of get annoyed when people say, "Oh, we barely made it," or blah.
I guess
because 3 months ago, nobody thought we were going to achieve anything. People thought the season is done.
We were 9th or 10th in the Premier League.
We were 10th. We were 10th actually. Yeah.
I guess what it is that it's probably unfair for me to do so, and I know Kai and probably the rest of it be I think me and Kai have always spoken that our standards haven't, probably yours haven't missed as well. Our standards and what we expect of Chelsea as a club haven't slipped like some others have. Do you know what I mean? So we're still like you said, Miz, 4th for me. If it's on a list, right, when you start the season, 4th is the very last one. You know
I took it personally. I took it personally when he said we were not ready to compete. I took it personally. Because when Tuchel was asked the same question, you remember what he said? Why should we wait until next season? Let's do it now.
No, he said he's got 18,
we should do it now.
He said he's got 18 months. I need to win trophies.
Guys,
do you think this team right now, their mentality, they suit better or play better when they think they're the underdog?
That's always been in their DNA, let alone this team. We've always played as an underdog. Yeah. The thing that... I completely agree with everything you guys have said. Kai is right. This team deserves a lot of praise for what they've done. I completely understand as well what you've said in the sense that we are a club that we should be winning. And here's my point about this team. I've now seen this particular team play in the Super Cup was the last season where they just lost against Liverpool. I've also seen this similar team, well, not similar, but the youngsters playing the FA Cup and didn't do the job against Arsenal when we were the favourites. I've now again seen us in the FA Cup against us. I just need this team to snap out of that because this becomes a disease. Yeah. This becomes a thing. Yeah. And these players, you look at them in the academy, they pretty much won everything. They're winners. They've annihilated. So I need this bunch of group to get something substantial, and if they get the Champions League, which I'm hoping they do, it will elevate them to a different level,
massively.
and their aura and their confidence will be different. If they lose again in the Champions League,
but it's also if they win the Champions League, us as Chelsea automatically as a club. If you remember, after you won the Champions League, every player wanted to be a part of Chelsea. We were that attractive club. I remember. Players like Salah, they reject.
Hazard retweets that tweet again from 2012.
That's what I'm saying. But if you guys remember, Salah rejected Liverpool for us. Yeah, everybody wanted to be a part of Chelsea, and if those players can get that, but at the same time, we're playing one of the most experienced squads in Europe. Most of that City squads already won multiple Premier Leagues, so I want us to win so bad because that Champions League would be amazing. Just to see Jorginho hold that Champions League on top of those haters, man. That's alone is going to be beautiful, you know.
Guys, am I the only one who's not actually worried about this squad going into next season? Because if you look at who we are properly linked with, and I don't mean like the Sun linking us to certain players. I mean like proper Tier 1 Jones linking us to. We're looking at players such as Lukaku, Varane, Tchouaméni, players like that are highly rated in Europe and I think are good players. Do do not worry about the current players we have. I think there's a few players that are dead wood that needs to go. You know, you could say your Emersons, your Alonsos, you know, your Zumas, whatever. But if we add winning DNA, which play like Lukaku, finished top scorer in Serie A, won a title. He now knows what it's like to win a league title. Varane, multiple Champions League winner, known as a top defender. Truman, he's young, but no expectation on him to come in and be a starter. He'll be a squad player. Jadon Sancho, who just got 2 goals and an assist in a cup final, stepped up for Dortmund when it matters most. Helped them when he came back from injury, clutch to get top 4 when no one expected them to get back in it. I think we're going to be completely fine if we just recruit in the right areas. I think if you look at, a lot of people said, I don't really like it when people say this. I've seen a lot on Twitter saying, we're never going to win league titles with Kovacic or Jorginho. I think that's that's nonsense. If I'm being honest, I think it's a nonsense statement. There's no evidence. There's no evidence to show that we can't win trophies with them. They're not the problem. We just need to add more depth in that area. I think we're going to be completely fine.
Yeah. No,
we're not going to challenge next season. I don't think we're going to challenge right to the end.
I think
if we can just build on this and progress in the league,
we're one of the few
trophies. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
We're one of the few teams in Europe to win the Europa League without losing a game with Kovacic and Jorginho. So I think people need to. I think people are scapegoating players to fit their agenda, which is one of the reasons why I hate the word hive, the world of like.
Can I ask Miz one last question? So
at the end of this, one hive, which is Chelsea.
I want to ask Miz one last question. One last question before we wrap up. If Mendy is not past fit, what are your confidence levels in that Champions League final? If he's not cut, because I think now,
especially with De Bruyne,
this might sound crazy. I think the fitness of Mendy for me at the moment is more important than the fitness of Kante at this moment in time.
Yeah,
just because if I was Pep and I think Kepa's going in, I'm telling my boys to hit long shots from all over the place.
Yep.
The thing about I'm pretty hopeful that Mendy will be fit because they said that it's just some sort of light bruising. In his ribs, so he should be fit. You know, you got a whole week to recover. I'm pretty certain. If by any chance he's not, look, I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to trigger off a whole heap of hate and all of this stuff for Kepa. I do have to be honest.
Yeah,
I have to be honest. The honesty is, oppositions love seeing Kepa. Yeah, they really do. It's not a coincidence the amount of long-range screamers that this guy has let in. You cannot keep telling me, oh, but that keeper does not let that in, or it happens to that keeper as well. No, opposition, as soon as they see him in the lineup, they are thinking, screamer, baby, this is it. We are going for it.
Look at the 2 Leicester games. No long shots in the league game. When Mendy's in goal, no long shots. So
because you don't want to challenge Mendy because he's got the long levers. Do you know what I mean? He's got long hands, and then and it's not just that his positioning when it comes to shots is good as well. So look, I mean, Kepa has done very well in the FA Cup against Man City. I'm not going to lie, he was very good in that particular game.
Yeah,
but I definitely need my number 1 goalkeeper. It gives a different confidence level to the back line. Yeah. You see, the back line is They become confident to see Mendy at the back. Do you know what I mean? When they see Kepa, you can see that there's a sense of confusion. Oh, what do we do? What's going on? And you cannot have any confusion against Man City because I'm telling you, this Man City is bringing a lot of emotions to this final.
Yeah.
The amount of emotions I saw yesterday off the back of that Everton game, the way they were, emotional about Aguero, the way Micah Richards was talking to Phil Foden. This team, they've suffered and they're here to have that big victory that they want. But similarly, I say is we suffered as well. We lost our first Champions League, so you deserve to lose as well. Your first one. No one ever gets their first time and wins it. Yeah. You deserve to lose your first one. You deserve that pain. You need to understand that pain. So
no, you're right.
And Thomas Tuchel, he would have known that pain from last season. Thiago Silva would have known that pain from last season. Azpilicueta is probably the last chance ever.
Yeah. So deserves it.
There's a lot of storylines to have. Which storyline gets on top on the day is the biggest factor.
Yeah. Super chat. So mystic about the final 4 games going now. We've shown lack of mentality and leadership on the pitch. Final, always need luck. That will win it. Gabriel, you are absolutely right. We know that. We won it like that. We had all the luck in the world. And it's probably why we haven't won it since, because we used all our luck up in 2012. But yeah, I think
But
that's it.
it's no. Can I say just one point?
Yeah, sure, mate. Yeah, sure.
Nobody suffered as much as these players and us suffered under Lampard this season, man. I refuse to say that the City suffered as much as we did. Hey, you guys know this. I don't know if I said this before. I couldn't make love to my girlfriend. I was depressed. I was stressed. Nobody was stressed as much. We deserve that Champions League. And just like in 2012, this is the most unlikely team to win it, which is why which would be so romantic if we do win it. That would be beautiful. That would be so romantic. On that note, Miz, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank
it was
you,
a
Miz.
pleasure.
Thank you, Miz.
Honestly, it was
Thank you.
arguably one of the best guests we had. You know,
Yeah,
thank you.
Another guest, you know.
Big up, Miz.
Thank you.
Make sure you
Thank you
guys
very
check out
much.
his content, please.
Links to his stuff are in the description, so please do that.
And guys, please smash the like button. I don't know how many are live at the moment, but please smash the like button. It helps out the channel a lot, promotes it out there. And as you can see, these lads are brilliant. Do you know what I mean? If you want to continue watching these guys, smash the like button. Share it with everyone as well, so the word's out there.
Yeah,
100 people watching. It says.
We've had over 100 consistently. It's one of our biggest live viewings ever. Obviously, Miz has bought, that as well.
The man, the Miz, the legend. That's what I'm saying, man.
Exactly. So we thank him for that. Miz has been great. It's gone. I mean, it's an hour and 20 minutes. That's flown by. It doesn't even seem that long. Thank you very much.
Lovely chat,
Kai,
thank you.
take us out, Kai.
Thank you so much, people. We appreciate it. Help us get to 2K. We're a little bit over 20% there, so help us reach there. And as usual, take your vitamins. Eat your nutrition, be healthy, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care, people.